Well, over to the U.S. now as search crews in Florida continue to scour through the rubble of a collapsed condo building near Miami. We're going to give you a live look at the scene right now. As you can see, there are crews hard at work trying to desperately search for survivors. You can see a sniffer dog there. Many of them, of course, still trying to come to grips with what has exactly happened.
The apartment to our left was half sheared off. Looked forward, which is where the elevator shaft is, and it was just a hole.
4 people are confirmed dead. Another 159 are still unaccounted for. Search teams are using sonar, cameras, and sensitive microphones, hoping to pick up any signs of life. CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin is in Florida for us. She's been following this story for us. So we're just showing some live shots there, Jen. Walk us through the latest from where you are right now, what you've been hearing.
Well, you know, there's this massive cloud that goes up around the building there. It's smoke, it's dust. It speaks to the very difficult conditions under which those crews are working. It's extremely difficult work. They have to climb the structure that has just collapsed, and it shifts constantly, so it's very difficult to sort of get solid ground. It's very perilous work. There's also the fact that sometimes they hear sounds, and so they do focus on those sounds. They're trying to pinpoint whether it's anyone banging on some of the structure, anyone alive trying to be rescued. But often, of course, it's unclear what that sound is. It could be twisting metal. So it's a lot of work. It's very difficult. We haven't had any update on the situation today as to whether anyone else has been found alive at all, or if they've found anyone else within the rubble, and if any of those people, those 159 people who are missing, have appeared somewhere, that have come back, or whether there's any news about them. It's still very unclear, Angie. Still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, and we know that there is a possibility of the Canadian connection as well. Jen, talk to us about what you know about that.
Well, we know from Global Affairs that indeed there are some preliminary reports that have not been verified. We do not know indeed whether there were, but it seems as though they're trying to search for information as to whether Canadians were affected. We spoke to people who there's a woman from Quebec who runs a newspaper here in the area for Quebecers who are here, the snowbirds, people who are in this community here. And she was talking about the fact that it is well known that in those particular buildings there are people from Quebec, there are people from Ontario. Now, would those people have been here at this time of the year, especially under the travel restrictions that are in place now, is extremely unclear. But she says it would stand to reason that Canadian authorities would be looking into reports that Canadians would have been affected. And we don't know when we'll hear more about that.
Any information that you might have, Jen, and I know that you know you're working very hard and it's very busy there, is trying to grab bits and pieces of information. What information we might have about this building? Were there structural concerns at all? I mean, again, a full investigation will be underway to find out what exactly happened here. But of course, the focus is now to find any survivors. But do we have a sense, was this an extremely old building? Were there concerns?
It's a 40-year-old building. It was undergoing a recertification, which happens here after those decades, to make sure that it was still sound. Now, what we're hearing, and this is information that is still being gathered, because as you say, the investigation will be long. It will be a difficult one to try to pinpoint exactly what happened, and it could be several causes here. But one of the things we've been told is that scientists have been talking about the ground here in Surfside, that some of it is shifting with rising sea levels. This leads to structures that could be more structurally unsound. There has been talk about the fact that this particular building, like many others in this area, as a matter of fact, was shifting perhaps 2 millimeters per year for the last few years. And so that is something that they'll be investigating. Was that part of some sort of alert that should have been sounded in the past? And was this sort of sea level infiltrating the porous cement, the porous structure that is there, and causing it to weaken? Of course, we don't know whether any of that played a part for the moment, but those are some of the things they're looking at. There was also talk about a sinkhole, perhaps underground in the garage, perhaps that had appeared. Is that something that was caused by the events, or is that something that was there before, weakened the structure here, the foundation? Still unknown. But again, people want answers here. People who survived what happened, the families of those who are waiting to see their loved ones, again, all are talking about the fact that they want to know what happened here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just a devastating situation. Thank you so much for this, Jen. CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin in Surfside, Florida. Thank you again, Jen.
Thanks, Angie.